talking about the need to donate blood. The Red Cross provides about 40% of our nation's blood and blood components, all from generous volunteer donors. But supply can't always meet demand because only 3% of age-eligible people donate blood yearly. Good afternoon and welcome to Across the Fence. I'm Jolie Whitney. Every 2 seconds, someone in the U.S. needs blood. It's essential for surgeries, cancer treatments, chronic illnesses, and traumatic injuries. Blood donation is one instance when one person can make a big difference with the donation of whole blood, red cells, or platelets, or even plasma. To talk about blood donations, I'm joined by Dan Dowling. Many viewers will immediately recognize Dan as a former WCAX meteorologist. He's gone from predicting the weather to becoming the face of the American Red Cross of Northern New England. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Yeah, we're happy to have you back.
Yeah, my first time back in the studio since I started with the Red Cross. I was with Channel 3 for 24 years, and it's great to be here. And now I'm happy to be serving the Red Cross and working with Vermonters all across the state.
Absolutely. It might be a different view of the studio for you, but like I said, we're happy to have you. So the blood is always in need, but the winter can be a time when that's even more potent. Can you tell me why this time of year?
Yeah, I mean, January is National Blood Donor Month, and it's something that started back in 1969 with President Richard Nixon, who issued a proclamation saying that, we need to acknowledge blood donors and celebrate blood donors for the constant support that they give hospitals and patients and people who need blood. And so January, typically a midwinter month, we're coming off of a big holiday week. A lot of people often get sick and ill, which keeps donations down. Also, winter travel is certainly an impact. So we often notice that January is one of the hardest months for blood donation, and that's why we're having Blood Donation Month here, and also kind of like rallying the Vermonters to come in and donate.
And you mentioned Vermont specifically. Of course, we're in a national blood shortage, but how's our region faring specifically?
Yeah, Vermont is certainly part of the national picture as far as Red Cross blood donation. We're a national supplier, so we continue to bring donations and products to hospitals that need them. Since the week between Christmas and New Year's, we had a 7,000 unit shortfall nationally. So that we're now under an emergency blood shortage, so we're trying to bring people out to donate as well. It's important that we continue to bring blood products in. We have about 35% of appointments still unfilled over the next 2 weeks in Vermont, so we're constantly trying to get people to come in and sign for appointments.
Are blood shortages like this common? What causes them?
Well, they're happening more often now because we have such a smaller donor base. The donor base is about 40% less than it was about 20 years ago. So we're at a 20-year low for donors. So when we have inclement weather, we have winter months, it's harder to get that donor base. We are trying to build up our reserves here. More blood is going to hospitals now than coming in from donors. So it's important now to have people make appointments and sign up to donate.
And how's Vermont specifically faring? Do we have a lot of donors here in the state?
Well, we have great donor base here in Vermont. It's always good to see the donors come out to the blood drives, big and small. Last year, we had over 1,000 blood drives in Vermont. We raised over 300,000 blood donations across the state. So it's been an excellent support. We have great blood drives like the Gift of Life Marathon down in Rutland we have every year, but smaller drives as well from communities and organizations that continue to host these drives year after year, and supporting about 18 hospitals here in the state of Vermont.
And something that hampered a lot of community events like a blood drive potentially is the pandemic that we were still recovering from. How did that impact the blood supply?
Yeah, we have about 300,000 fewer donors now than we did before COVID. And a lot of that comes with drives that happen at schools and universities where a student might get to donate blood for the first time and have that first blood drive experience. Didn't get that during the pandemic. Also, a lot of office drives, community drives, where people are working remotely and hybridly now, and we just don't have the routine that we used to have back during the pandemic. Some people are still feeling, not as comfortable about being in big situations with groups of people, and we're trying to bring those numbers up now from the pandemic for sure.
And we touched on this a little bit already, but why is it so important to sign up to donate blood?
Well, like you said, every 2 seconds someone needs blood, right? And it's never ending, the need for blood. Even here in Vermont, we need about 80 units of blood every day to support Vermont hospitals. That goes to cancer patients, burn victims, emergency room patients, and all sorts of treatments that go through here in Vermont hospitals. You can't stockpile blood. It has a shelf life of only a few weeks. Certain blood types are certainly needed for different types of procedures, and all of that is important in coming into helping Vermonters who are needing the blood.
All right, we're actually looking at some video of a blood donation now. Can you walk me through what that process looks like?
Sure. It all comes with a check-in. You walk in, you make your appointment, but you come into the blood donor center and you check in with a photo ID. Then there's a little bit of a brief screening. They certainly ask you some questions about maybe places that you've been or people that you've been in contact with. They take your temperature, your blood pressure. It's a mini physical of sorts. And then once you pass through that, they sit you in the chair, and then there is a brief stick with a needle. It takes just a moment, and then the whole blood donation process, the actual extraction of the blood, only takes about 8 to 10 minutes. Once that's done, they get you all patched up, and you sit and have a snack and just gather yourself for a couple of minutes, and you're on your way. The whole process from start to finish only takes about 60 minutes.
And how's that process different from donating plasma or platelets?
Platelets is a longer process, and you saw some of that in the video there, where you actually sit in a chair and they actually put needles in both arms, and they take the white blood cells out of your body, cycle them through a machine, and then move that back into your body. So it's a little more of an intensive process, but platelets have a shorter shelf life, and they go to help cancer patients in treatment as well. But the blood donation process is what most people are accustomed to doing. Only takes about 8 to 10 minutes in the actual process.
And what's your advice if I really don't like needles or I'm not interested?
From what I've seen, is the experience you get, the feeling that you get helping someone goes way beyond the brief needle stick that you get in that moment. There are so many people that need blood, and a lot of times you don't realize who needs blood and what that feeling is like until you actually become a blood donor. We have maybe friends and family that go to the hospital, maybe friends or family that have cancer. Those are the things that really are a call to action. And if you don't know someone, I guarantee there are people around you that probably do.
All right, we've talked about the need, especially in Vermont here, but more generally, is there a blood type in particular that you guys are always looking for?
Our big focus now is on type O blood. When you come into an emergency room and they don't necessarily know what type of blood you are, they'll reach for O negative to be able to universal blood type. So if you have an O negative, a blood type, that's certainly an advantage. And that's what's most shortage at hospitals right now. We're kind of distributing as best we can to hospitals to have that universal blood supply. But anyone can donate blood, and all blood types are needed and welcome for sure.
All right, and you talked about eligibility and how only about 3% of eligible adults are donating, but what's something that would maybe disqualify me from giving blood?
Sure, about 64% of Americans actually can donate blood. You need to be at least 16 years old. You need to be at least 110 pounds, I believe, and just generally in good health. There are certain medications that might exempt you from donating blood, certain places that you may have been to. But overall, I think people will be surprised that on a given day, most people in average health qualify for blood donation.
And you mentioned that it can be really moving to give when you know somebody needs the blood. Can you give me an example of that?
Since working for the Red Cross, I've encountered dozens of people who have had those experiences. Thank goodness that we had blood on the shelves because my family member or I needed the blood. I was up at a blood drive in Jeffersonville, just not that long ago, Johnson, Cambridge Fire Department. And there was a woman there who had leukemia as a teenager. She went through over 200 units of blood while she was getting treatment there. And the fire department at Cambridge has this blood drive every year to support her, not only to replenish the blood that she used, but to help the next person that's going to come through the hospital and need that blood as well. At the Gift of Life Marathon in Rutland, talked to several folks who needed that blood in an emergency situation, and just thankful that the blood was there when they needed it to make sure that they got the treatment and care they needed.
All right, and how could somebody sign up or even find out when one of these blood drive events are?
Sure, it is super easy to sign up. You can go to our website, redcrossblood.org. There's a great process that takes you through we have an app that you can get on the App Store that'll walk you through the process. And also you can call 1-800-RED-CROSS and sign up for a blood donation there as well.
Okay, and of course, if we mentioned a little bit, maybe you're not eligible or you're not comfortable with needles. What else can you do? What else can you do to give back?
Yeah, I like to say there's always room for the people at the Red Cross. If you want to help out, there's a job that we can give you. If you can't donate blood or if you don't feel comfortable donating blood, you can organize a blood drive. You can get people to come in and donate blood. You can be a blood drive ambassador. You can welcome people as they come into the blood drive. And there's all sorts of things that we can do. You can go to redcross.org and sign up for lots of volunteering opportunities.
Okay, and can you tell me a little bit about you mentioned welcoming people in. What kind of opportunities are there if you want to volunteer?
Sure, and even if you didn't want to be part of a blood drive aspect, we've got all sorts of positions. We're helping with people during the Vermont flooding. We had sheltering needs and going out and helping folks in the community recover from the flood damage. Not only does the Red Cross specialize in blood donation, but we do a lot of disaster services, home fires, people coming out and helping people in those times of need when they may have lost everything, and just giving someone, a blanket or some comfort in those times of needs. Lots of things that the Red Cross specializes in doing. Training classes as well. CPR, life-saving, babysitting classes, all those types of things we certainly help out with too.
And you mentioned the fire recovery support that the Red Cross does. Can you tell me a little more about that?
Absolutely. You can sign up on the Red Cross site to get a fire alarm for your home. Certainly there are lots of causes for fires. Home fires are tragic, in communities, especially in the wintertime when you're heating at home and it's cold outside. Certainly we helped with the flooding when that happened as well. So the Red Cross is there. You can call 1-800-RED-CROSS, and if you need assistance, we're there to help out.
All right, thank you so much for joining us today, and welcome back to the studio for a little bit. All right, that wraps up our program for today. To all the crew behind the scenes here at WCX, I'm Jolie Whitney. Have a good one.